Hey, it's Roger at SwiftCloud. In this quick video, I'm going to show you where to look to customize your URLs. Super easy. Once you know where to look, it's simple. So it's important that you understand that every URL contains two parts. Now, when you have something like just the home page of, let's say, yourwebsite.com, aka called in the tech world the root, sometimes called the index page. That's like basically it just means that you have a base domain and there's no page thereafter. There's still a page that's being served up, right? So that's kind of what I want to talk about here is you can customize any URL of any public-facing asset in SwiftCloud, which typically includes things like e-sign docs. It can include your scheduler. It can include web forms, like all of these different types of assets. And as we move to a more collaborative world, so SwiftCloud, then there's going to be more and more public-facing sort of portal assets, right? So these could be also e-sign PDFs, whatever you need it to be. So once you know those, you got two parts, right? You got to have the domain, and then you have the slug, right? So the base is your domain. Now by default, that's portal.swiftcrm.com. It used to be swiftcloud.ai. We've moved now because SwiftCloud is becoming much more of a holistic system. So we've decided to use the swiftcrm.com domain, which we've owned for years, and we've always kind of been in that other like private CRM space, and now it's kind of getting folded back into SwiftCloud. So we're using that domain. So you can change that to whatever you want, and we encourage you to do so. We don't even charge for it because, frankly, we want you to, we don't think we're that important. What we want to do is just empower your goals. So it should be really ideally something like clients.yourwebsite.com or secure.yourwebsite.com, some subdomain. It really can be any subdomain that you want. Let's dive into it. Once you know where to look, super simple. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go to the SwiftCloud system, and here on the top left you see this what looks like 3 dinner plates. Go ahead and click that, click on Drive. You'll get to a list of folders. In this case I'm in a subfolder. Basically navigate around, kind of things work as you'd expect. And once you get there, then you'll get to, click on whatever page it is that you want to edit. And what you'll do is you'll see a bunch of shortcode. So here's what the front end of this looks like. If you aren't aware, SwiftCloud has an incredibly powerful conditional logic system, which we are folding into specifically a reviews system as well. And so if somebody's happy, then we want to take them down one path. If they're unhappy, we want to take them down a different path and like open a trouble ticket and make them feel heard. And if they are happy, we want them to refer their friends and just share online, that kind of thing, right? So we have some conditional logic. This is all a sidebar. Nonetheless, what we want to do is customize this URL because by default, this is less human friendly. So in this case, this would be an example of a mapped URL. This portion here could be, secure.yourwebsite.com, right? You get the idea. So by default, it's kind of long and ugly. So right now, this is the old URL structure. This is purposely defaults to unguessable. We do that for privacy, and it's just not human friendly, right? And it's okay. We don't want it to be guessable in some cases. If it's, let's say it's an invoice, you don't want that. You want it to be public so that they could forward it to accounting and not have any issues, but you don't want it to be guessable because that's kind of private client data, right? So this base URL is kind of the old long base URL. Let's dive into this. So all you have to do is go to the back end, get to the correct page, and then go down here and click this little compress URL, or it may say customize URL. And as soon as you do, right, so if you go here and then you go back to, it's going to, if that's off, it's going to look like this. It's going to be the long, ugly, not very human friendly URL. This portion here will soon, very soon, like in 48 hours. So by the time you see this video, it's probably already done and live. It will say instead portal.swiftcrm.com /username. In this case, my username happens to be support. I'm in the actual real support account here, kind of just for this demo. And then there'll be an asset type by default, but you don't have to do that. If you click compress, then we can change it to something, whatever you want. So notice that I have in this dropdown clients.yourdomain.com as an option. And that's just for an example. In order to set that up, what you do is click here on the bottom left in the gear, click Edit Profile. Once you do that, then you scroll up and you'll see this is the user profile account. And what you need to do is click this little plus, and you just go here, and then you fish through this long drop down and basically select URL mapped to SwiftCloud. Make sure this is set to public, and then put it in here, whatever it is that, clients.yourdomain.com, something like that. whatever it is you want it to be, hit save, and then just to be sure, hit the save at the bottom. We're going to refactor this page soon. But yeah, just hit the save, and you should be good to go. Then what you need to do is let us know so that we connect A to B. We just have one little tiny portion that we do manually still. Once you do that and you save it here, then you will see that option in this dropdown. You may have to refresh the page, but then you could change it to something like this. Notice this is what's going to be your URL at the bottom, right? So by default, I have it set to, this is the old one. This is an old mapped domain. This is the actual default, right? So if I wanted to, this, whatever you change it to here is going to show here. And then whatever you change it to here, this can be whatever you want. Just start typing something, review me. And as soon as you hit tab, right, it's going to save, it's going to think about it, it's going to generate the actual URL. And it does have to be unique. That's what this is indicating, is this has to be unique to you. It doesn't have to be unique globally, but unique to you. So I hope that helps you. That's it. Really, it's that simple. This same concept in this same beige box appears a lot of different places throughout the application. So the scheduler and the eSign PDFs and whatever it is. And it should support foreign languages. So if you wanted to change it to something that is for your language, that should be fine. I'm not too sure about special characters. So if you have any issues, just let us know. Reach out to us. But we want it to work well. And as long as it's web compliant, then it should be good to go. So if you have any questions, by all means, let us know. Otherwise, thanks.